um, I've defined this earlier and said that it's the person who identifies the customer's need and looks at the larger business objective. That's the first thing I said when we started the class. I was talking about how the product features would help to fulfill the objective of that product, that the laid out business objective. The features is meant to do that, meant to fulfill that, you know, the purpose. Then this slide is telling us that the project manager is also someone who is responsible for research, strategy, creating a solution design in order to enhance user experience and solve a problem that helps achieve business objectives and goals. Product manager usually or is always looking at the big picture, the project vision. Are we in line? What the customers want? How are we going to interpret that to a solution that makes money for the business and still maintain great user experience for the users and have a good enough technology backing the product. These are things that the product managers will always worry about. The product manager decides if the problem that we're working with is a good problem to solve. Some problems are not good enough. They don't stand the test of time. That's why we're saying that, when your product is no longer good enough, you revamp and reinvent so that you can stay in the market. Imagine if when you're even starting the product is not a good enough solution. It won't even stay till maturity, growth, to just decline from introduction. That's it. So if the problem presented is not a good enough problem, it won't pass the product manager's table. The product manager prioritizes what features to focus on. They prioritize what the idea is even going to be. They set up the vision, the strategy. They keep the team excited and focus on that vision, right? So these are things that the product manager has to do to ensure that the product is a good enough product. A day in the product manager's life. These are things that if you want to be a product manager, you must have them. It's research, customer research, right? Cost projections, developing business cases, driving multiple teams, conducting user interviews. You hold workshops, road mapping, identifying success metrics, design and prepare for sprints. They work with engineers to build solutions. They validate testing. So after testing is done, it can also be validated by the product manager, stakeholder management, competitors research. You work with data analysts to create the best algorithm for the product. So these are the major things the product manager does. It's a little bit kind of like what the project manager and the BAs do, but it's not holistic. This is just what majorly they focus on. So, like I said, if you're in a situation where there's no product manager, you might find yourself having to perform some of the activities here, right? But doesn't really mean that you're not still a BA or not still a project manager. The important skills that a product manager should have is that the product manager should be self-aware, very self-aware, because you need to be self-aware enough to know that your need is not the client's need or just the user's need. The end users need A, B. You need A, and that's it, good enough for you. If you use because you want just A and don't add B to it, that solution is not going to work. It's going to fail, and definitely you wasted time, resources, and a lot of other things. Emotional intelligence is also very important to deal with people, to deal with the customers, your end users, and also to deal with your clients, because your customers are always two different people: the client, the owner of the product, and your end users. If you're a product manager who doesn't have good emotional intelligence that is top notch, you definitely have issues with a lot of things. Strategic thinking is something you also have to have as a skill. Communication needs to be perfect. The communication has to be really good. Leadership is also something you have to be very comfortable with. Empathy, you have to have empathy because you are meant to represent the customer in the organization. You have to be able to connect with them, their mind, how they think, to be able to serve them better. You have to be someone who is very good at research, analytical thinking, presentation skills, financial skills. You have to be a good decision maker or decision making, and then also good with decision making. That's it. Then stakeholder management as well, right? These are the important skills that a product manager should have or must have. Then we have the product owner. Product owner is the person who defines the product story, prioritizes which tasks for the team to facilitate execution. The product owner as well, they're also part of the product team, right? There's a very close gap between the product manager and the product owner. Some companies have product owners and they also perform the role of the product manager. Some have both, so it depends. Product owner makes sure that the product development is following the product roadmap. So when I said the product manager focuses on the big picture, the vision, the larger business objective, the product owner focuses on the smaller pictures, the smaller business objectives, so in making sure that the business objective is actually brought to life, not just talking about it, but doing it. So more like the product manager is the talker, the idea bringer, the product owner is the doer, something like that. So, or the executioner, if I'm to call them that. The role involves liaising between the product manager's vision and the development team, right? Product owner focuses on the smaller details rather than the big picture. We have differences between the product manager and the product owner. The product manager focuses on prioritizing features, while the product owner looks at highlighting those needs or those features for the development of the team. The product manager looks at the vision of the product, making that product vision into an actionable backlog, whereas an actionable feature is something the product owner would do. Whenever we see backlog, let's just think features, right? So when you say making product vision into an actionable backlog, you're talking about writing user stories. So making sure that the vision is translated into user stories or even high-level requirements is something the product owner will have to worry about. The product owner looks at the smaller details rather than the big picture, short-term focus. The product manager looks at long-term projects in mind. They are very closely related, but then they have differences as well. Then we have the last part, which is the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is someone who facilitates Scrum. Sure, we've already talked about what Scrum is and all that, but just to define it again, Scrum is a lightweight agile framework with a focus on time-boxed iterations called sprints. So what this is saying is what I've been talking about since where I said, when you get into the software development lifecycle, using Scrum framework, that's the methodology that you're using for implementation. You break down your task in small chunks. You pick one big product, which is WhatsApp, break out the features into 5: account, chat, video call, voice call, status. You pick them one after the other. Lightweight, right? With a focus on time-boxed iterations, 2-week sprint. What you do within that 2 weeks will be between design, implementation, and testing. Or it's possible you've already completed design, so you're just doing implementation and testing. At the end of the 2 weeks, you have a working software that has been tested and approved by the QA that the client can now see and have a feel of what the product can become. So at the end of every sprint, which is the time box iterations, you have a working software. So that's what the Scrum Master is meant. The Scrum Master is one who makes sure that the meetings happen, the requirements are well documented and accessible by the developers. The designs are accurate, it's aligned with the the requirements documents. They are the servant leaders. They ensure that the Scrum activities happen as should happen, are committed to the Scrum foundation and values, but they remain flexible and open to opportunities for the team to improve their workflow, right? Scrum encourages or fosters continuous improvement. So for every time you repeat the process, you're meant to get better. So it can also help intimate the organization on what Scrum is about, so that everyone is aware on the rules, the do's and the don'ts. Scrum Master roles border around fostering communication between the different channels, the product team, the development team, the project management team, the senior managers. They're the ones that communicate everything amongst these different departments. They protect the team. They act as a buffer so that the sprint sessions are not disrupted. The 2 weeks period where you're running a sprint should not be disrupted by anything or anybody. That's the rule. So they're the ones that protect the team. They sound like they serve as heroes or something like that. They maintain the tools for Scrum. A tool like Azure. I talked about Azure classes on Thursdays. Please make sure you attend them. Jira as well. So Jira administration, these are tools that the Scrum Master would use to ensure that all the maybe work items, sorry, all the features, right, are uploaded and available. So once the say sprint has started, there's no, oh, what am I going to work with? Where are the designs? Where are these? They make sure that they provide everything they put developers would need, schedule meetings, follow up with, implementation and get things done. They also report on the Scrum activities. We've been running sprints for the past 1 week. We're currently, on this item. We're working on it. We're good to go. They create the burn down chart. They show a lot of things around Scrum. I'm not going to talk so much about Scrum roles because I know we have a full class on that. So I hope we had a very interactive session. I think I don't know if there's another one after there's another Scrum class after the introduction to Scrum, but there might be maybe module 7, or I don't know really, but there might be. So there will still be further conversations around the Scrum framework and all that. Another role for the Scrum Master is meeting facilitation. I've talked about this. They schedule meetings for stand-ups, retrospective meetings, sprint planning meetings, etc. They facilitate them. They are the hosts during those sessions. Then there's agile coaching, where they train the organization on Scrum framework so that everyone understands what this is all about. They also team support, from settling disagreements to coffee runs. They also remove blockers. Blockers are impediments that would hinder the team from progress. Oh, I was working on this, but I don't know if I can finish it today because I've not gotten this, or I have that issue, or I have this issue. Scrum Master is the one who will come and say, "Oh, let's do it this way, let's do it that way. This would help you to close this task out so that we don't have an extra day for the sprint." It's that simple. But then it's a lot. So Scrum Masters they are basically people who facilitate Scrum framework, and they have responsibilities from stand up facilitating meetings to planning the meetings, protecting the team from overcommitting on what they can't complete. If you're meant to finish 2 features in 2 weeks and you have just 5 people, that might be impossible. So they'll help the team to ensure that they say they're going to take one feature for this sprint. Oh, fine. We're going to complete it in 2 weeks. That works. We have 5 people. Perfect. We can do it. But if they take on tasks that they can't complete, it's the Scrum Master who will say no. Let's not overpromise. Let's keep this for later and work on just this one so that we can bring something of value at the end of the day. Because the reason why people even go into this Scrum or use Scrum framework is because they want to have a working software at the end of a short period of time. So if there is improvement or changes to be adopted, it can be done earlier, not when it's too late, right? Sprint reviews, they participate in the meeting, they capture feedback. Sprint retrospective, these are meetings majorly. The sprint planning meeting is a meeting, the sprint review session is a meeting, stand-ups is a meeting, retrospective is also a meeting. Just like the name says, stand-up sessions are meetings you have daily during the sprint period to talk about what you've done so far, where you have issues, completions, etc. The sprint planning meeting is where you plan the sprint, right? The sprint review meeting is where you review what you've done. That's where you have a prototype. You're reviewing based on, oh, this prototype is ready. This test, environment is ready. Let's look at what we've done. And is it good enough? At this point, the tester is done testing and feedback. Sorry, tester is not done testing. Tester is about to start testing. Feedback will be given after testing is done. So retrospective meeting is where you, just like the name says, we're having a session to talk about what we could do better for the next sprint based on what we learned from the last one. So you're talking about improvements and all that. Then there also board administration tasks where they manage the Azure board and the Jira board and all that. Then who makes up the Scrum team? The project management team, right? That's the project managers, BAs, etc. Development team, that's the software developers, the testers, the DevOps team, ended up engineering person who is there. You have the Scrum Master as well. Yeah, that's majorly the product team also come under the project management team. Yes, so that's that. Then the next slide is talking about stakeholders and how to collaborate with them. Who is a stakeholder? A person who has a vested interest in your product. I've talked about this before. Someone who the product would affect. Could be anybody, from your clients, customers, to investors, senior management, anyone at all. They are important mainly because they can help build a successful product. Nothing more, nothing less. Their impact can be a little from 1% to 150%, but it's something. Even if it's 0.1%, they have something to do that would affect the product. So that's that. How do you collaborate with your stakeholders? Assess stakeholders and then determine their influence, right? Like I said, identify all of them, determine what their influence is and the impact they would have. There's some stakeholders that will have major impact. You don't want to ignore them. You want to work closely with them so that issues don't come up. Once the influence of a particular group or individual has been ascertained, a project manager or a product manager should develop a plan for communicating with each one. Give them room, give them value quickly, show your product success to them, share emails, communicate with them, give them recognition. Sometimes stakeholders know what's going on, don't know what's going on, rather, keep them informed, and in the process, communicate clearly and as often as possible. So that's something that is really important. Don't leave them confused, wondering, or asking questions. Make sure you communicate clearly and often. Drill into the root cause of change request. If there's a reason why there has to be a change for something, drill into the root cause. Don't just accept it like that. Try to understand why that change is requested, what the importance is, what's the benefit for that change. Is it more than the cost? If it is, then your argument's valid. But if it's not, then you accept the change, right? So if your client has reviewed the product that was demoed to him and say, oh, I don't think I like this, I want it this way. Ask questions. Try to understand why they want it that way before you accept it. And so that's that. Okay, that's the end of the slide. I don't know if we have any questions or comments from the team based on what we've discussed, talked about project management, process tools. I have a question. Product tools, we talked about the product managers, the stakeholders, differences between the project managers and project managers. Talked about a lot of things. So let's see the question Ovi has. For any sprint to hold, does it mean it has to go through the Scrum Master? It doesn't have to go through the Scrum Master. If there's a Scrum Master, perfect. But usually, if there's no Scrum Master, just like I said about the product manager, the project manager or the business analyst has to assume the role of a project manager, right? So for a sprint to hold, it has to go through a Scrum Master. But then, as a project manager, especially, you might find yourself functioning as a Scrum Master as well. At least that's the situation I have found myself in many times. So you have a sprint coming up, and we're talking sprint planning. The BA might not be the first call to set up a meeting. They will definitely reach out to the project. Oh, let's have a meeting because you're the one in charge of timelines. You talk about scheduling, following up, getting things done. So if there's no one to do it, then definitely it's something you're going to do as a project manager. So yes, for a sprint to hold, if there's no Scrum Master, it goes to the project management team, whoever is readily available, from the product manager to the project manager to the BA. One of these three people will take up that role and responsibility and get it to completion. But usually it falls on the project manager because there's that you have to get things done, timeline management, and all that is on your table, or that is a role you actively perform. You just find yourself doing that as well. So I don't know if that answers your question. Okay, okay, it's okay.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
All right. Anything else from anyone else? Okay, I have a hand
Yeah,
raised.
yeah, that was me. Sorry, I just wanted to be sure of something because I'm a bit confused at the moment. Um,
Okay.
with the work of the project manager, the BA, and then owner. So, for instance, like you're saying, if you're trying to build a feature on WhatsApp, like
Add a
let's
feature.
say like deleting a profile picture of your or changing your profile picture rather on your WhatsApp. So
Yeah.
and let me say I'm the owner of WhatsApp, yeah, and then I bring the project and I'm like, okay, yes, I want to implement this into my company so that my customers or clients can be changing their status and things like that. And then I come to the manager, right? So the project manager then, okay, there is like a meeting that's been taken and whatnot. So and then so is it that the project manager would now be the ones to like, okay, take the should I say the requirements or the requests from the owner of the company,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is what we want to do, or this is what you guys want to do, and things like that. And then the BA comes in place whereby um so what happens then? Like, is it that the project manager takes the information from the client and then have a meeting with the BA and then the product manager, and then
Okay.
the business analysts are now the ones that now like do the whole user story of, okay, this is a, or like, is this what we are going to do first, or like how does it work? Like I just want that example, but like broken down into what the BA would then do and then the product manager would then do in that kind of example I just gave, in like changing the
Okay.
PPA and things like that.
Okay. So first off, when a change request, because what I understand, what you're saying, there's one thing I want to say before I go. What you're saying, what you said is correct. Yeah, you could follow that route. But let me first start with understand something. Is it a change request? Because a change request is that now we do delete of the profile pictures. So when I upload the profile picture, I can delete it. But then the customer now wants to do something like he no longer wants people to delete, he wants them to archive. Or I don't know. You can just say he wants them to stop deleting. So he wants to remove the functionality where user can delete their profile. Or I don't know. I don't know if you understand what I mean by change request. A change request is that you're saying that what was happening there before should stop doing what it's doing to do something else. If that's the scenario you're painting, then it might follow a different process. But if you're saying that the client wakes up and says, oh, I want us to add a feature that allows my users to upload their profile and update it if they want, and also that's a new ad. That's like, what would I call it? It's not a bug fix, it's not a change request, it's just a fix, just an, I don't know, a new feature. You can just call it that, or an update, something. But it's not a change request. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I'm saying. Like the new,
okay,
like you're bringing in a new
okay,
thing to be done on WhatsApp.
okay, no problem. In that scenario, what will happen is depending on who is available, because projects differ. If on the project you have a product manager, you have a project manager, and you have a BA, all three of them plus the developers, anyone who is involved in that project will have a meeting. During that meeting, it could be chaired by the project manager, because the project manager has a task to perform, which is to understand timelines, to assign duties, make sure that there's a plan for that. You have to start talking about what's going on currently. Is that request a priority? During that session, they will discuss a lot of things around the priority, the timeline, the request itself. How is it going to affect the business? That will be the focus of the product manager. How is it going to affect the business because the product is in the market already. If you release this new fix, will the people be happy about it? Will it, will it disturb the already existing customer, you have? Is it going to stop is it going to stop the progress of the project progress of the product in the market, or is it going to increase benefit or reduce whatever it's going to do? What is it exactly? You want to talk about it, understand it before you accept the request. That's one. Then the business analyst already knows that they are meant to write the user story. That's a situation where there is a product manager. The product manager focuses on the bigger picture, the business, the user experience, what the people would feel, the technology. That's what they are focusing on. The project manager would focus on, oh, this requirement have come in, who is working on it, how long will it take, why are we picking it up, what's the urgency for it, is it priority, should we drop every other thing we're doing and add it to the top of our list, or should we take it on later, because the team was not doing nothing before it came. The business analyst is worrying about, oh, requirements, what am I going to write, what do we need, who do I need to talk to, do I need to have a session with some customers, because the product is live. And at that point, it's very critical you don't make mistakes, because you could move your product from maturity to decline by just doing that. So when that has been ascertained, or let me go back. That's the situation where you have a product manager. When you don't have a product manager, you just have a project manager and a BA. They divide the tasks of worrying about the business, talking about the challenging the request itself, and coming up with the plan for completion, and also the requirements being gathered on the other hand, to meet at the end of the day, say, yes, we have taken up this request and we've produced the requirements or the user story. So let's move on to production. So from there, the BAs go to write user stories, maybe in 4 days as agreed on the session, right? But the first thing that always happens will always be a meeting where everyone gets clarity on what to do, why to do it, the priority, and all the other things that would happen. After that meeting, everyone goes back to do what they're meant to do. The project manager might be tasked to, or would be tasked to, share the outcome of that meeting with the entire team, because some other people were not there. So based on that, at the end of the day, the product will be re-implemented or be improved to capture that new request. Then designers obviously will come before that. Testing is done. It goes back to live. The customers are informed of the updates, and that's it. So I don't know if that answers your question. Sorry, I didn't get your name. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there any other question or comment? Okay, nothing else. So thank you very much for your time. Oh, Balogun, you're raising your hand. Please go ahead. We're way past our closure time, so you can just wrap the question.
I know. I wasn't around when my name was called. So I don't know if you can let me.
Yeah, I did. I marked it right. So I remember you asked questions. Yeah. It was ticked. Okay. Yeah. Okay, no problem. So I'll try to share the screenshots for the BMC I mentioned, and then yeah, the recording would also be available, and the slides are also available as well. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening. Have a comment.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.